Commander Han stood at the large window of Earth Space Station Alpha, looking out at the blue planet below. His dark eyes reflected the stars as he thought about the message that had arrived 3 days ago. In his 20 years of service to the Earth Defense Fleet, he had never faced anything like this. "Commander, Director Kim has arrived," said Lieutenant Yoon from behind him. Han turned and nodded. "Send her in." Director Kim walked into the observation room with quick steps. Her gray uniform marked her as the head of the United Earth government. Her face showed worry but also determination. "Have you watched it again?" she asked without greeting. "Yes. Several times," Han replied. The translation team confirmed the meaning is accurate. Kim frowned. "Show me once more." Han touched the control panel on his wrist. The large screen on the wall lit up, showing a strange creature with blue-green skin and 4 eyes. It sat in what looked like a grand chamber with tall pillars made of some shining material. Species designation, human. Planet designation, Earth. The voice was flat and mechanical, translated by Earth computers. "You are hereby summoned to present yourselves before the Galactic Council for Integration Assessment. Resistance is not advised. You have 30 solar rotations to comply." The message ended, and the screen went dark. "They don't even bother asking, do they?" Kim said, her voice tight with anger. "They've never had to," replied Han. He touched his wrist again, showing a series of reports. "According to our deep space intelligence, every species they've encountered has either joined willingly or been forced to join." "How many species are in this council?" Kim asked. "We count at least 42 distinct civilizations under their control. Some appear to have significant freedom. Others seem to exist only to serve." Kim walked to the window and looked out at Earth. "And now they expect us to simply show up and accept whatever position they assign us." She turned back to Han. "What are our options?" Han knew she already had a plan. Director Kim always had a plan, but he answered anyway. "Officially, we can comply and hope for favorable treatment. We can ignore the summons and prepare for conflict. Or we can directly refuse and definitely prepare for conflict." "And unofficially?" Kim asked with a small smile. Han allowed himself to smile as well, a rare expression on his serious face. "We show them that Earth doesn't bow to demands." Kim nodded. "The council meeting is starting in 10 minutes. I want your assessment ready." Han followed her out of the observation room and down the corridor to the main conference hall. The space station had been built 5 years ago as a joint project between the major Earth powers. Now it served as the headquarters for the United Earth government, formed when humans realized they were not alone in the universe. The conference hall was already filled with representatives from around the world. Han recognized the military, leaders from various nations, scientists and government officials. All looked worried. Han took his place at the front of the room beside Kim. The large screen showed a map of known space, with Earth marked as a small blue dot at the edge. 3 days ago, Kim began, we received a transmission from an organization calling itself the Galactic Council. As you have all seen, this was not a greeting or an invitation for cultural exchange. It was a demand for our submission. Voices rose in the room, some angry, some afraid. Commander Han will now provide his military assessment. Kim continued, and the room quieted. Han stepped forward. The Galactic Council controls a territory spanning approximately 3,000 light years. Their technology is advanced. Their ships are larger than anything we have built, but there are weaknesses in their position. He touched a control and the map zoomed in. They are spread thin. Their nearest outpost is 15 light years away. Their ships are fast, but not instant. More importantly, they do not expect resistance. "How? Can you know that?" asked General Park from the Asian Alliance. The tone of their message, the small size of their nearest fleet, the fact that they gave us 30 days instead of arriving with overwhelming force. Han pointed to the data scrolling, beside the map. "They believe this will be routine. They are wrong. What do you suggest we do?" asked Dr. Lee, the lead scientist for the Earth Defense Fleet. We cannot match their numbers or the size of their ships. We don't need to, Han said. We need to show them that humans are different from the other species they have encountered. We need to reply in a way they don't expect. Kim stepped forward again. I have reviewed Commander Han's plan. It is bold but achievable. We will not ignore this threat, but neither will we surrender to it. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each leader. Earth has faced divisions throughout our history. Now we must stand united or fall divided. The plan has 3 parts. Han touched his control again, and the screen showed 3 stages. First, we send a small delegation as requested, Kim explained. This shows we are willing to talk, but the delegation will have specific instructions. Second, we prepare our defenses during these 30 days. Every ship, every weapon, every resource must be ready. Third, we develop new technologies based on what we have learned from studying the transmission. New technologies in 30 days? General Park looked doubtful. Dr. Lee smiled for the first time. The transmission contains valuable data about their communication systems and energy signatures. We can use this to our advantage. This is a risk, Kim admitted, but a calculated one. The alternative is to submit to an alien power that sees us as simply another species to control. The room was quiet as everyone considered the options. I move to approve this plan, said Admiral Choi of the North Pacific Fleet. Seconded, added Professor Moon, the head of Earth's diplomatic corps. The vote was unanimous. As the meeting ended, Han returned to the observation window. Earth turned slowly below, peaceful and blue. For how much longer, he wondered. Director Kim joined him. Will it work? She asked quietly. It has to, Han replied. We have 30 days to show the Galactic Council that they don't control everything. He looked at the stars where somewhere the Council waited for Earth's submission. And our reply will not be what they expect. Kim nodded. Send the confirmation. Tell them our delegation will arrive as requested. And then? Han asked. And then we prepare to fight for our freedom. Kim's voice was steady. Earth will not be controlled. As Han sent the message, he felt a strange mix of fear and pride. The Galactic Council believed they controlled everything. They were about to learn otherwise. Senior Council member Traz watched the small Earthship approach the massive Council station. In his long life, he had overseen thousands of integrations. Some species required displays of force, others simple demonstrations of technological superiority. None had ever refused integration. It was unthinkable. The human vessel is larger than expected, noted his aide, a thin purple-skinned being named Vex, yet still tiny compared to our ships, Traz replied with confidence. Prepare the welcome protocol, standard assessment level 3. Vex hesitated. Sir, our scouts report unusual activity in the Earth system. They appear to be building defensive structures. Traz waved a hand dismissively. All species prepare defenses when first contacted. It is a natural reaction based on fear. Once they see our true power, they will understand the futility of resistance. On board the Earthship Diplomat, Chief Engineer Ju checked the final systems. The vessel looked simple from the outside, but inside it contained Earth's most advanced technology. Are you recording everything? She asked the team. Every detail, confirmed Technician Kang. Energy outputs, communication frequencies, material composition. Our sensors are at maximum sensitivity. Ju nodded with satisfaction. When Director Kim had selected her for this mission, the instructions had been clear. Learn everything possible about Council technology. Security Director Park entered the bridge, his face serious. We are being scanned. Their technology is impressive, but they cannot penetrate our inner shielding. Good, said Ju. Remember, we appear cooperative, but reveal nothing important. The Earthship docked at the massive Council station. It stretched for kilometers in every direction. A city in space built from materials that gleamed like pearl and silver. The Earth delegation stepped into the docking bay where a group of aliens waited. They varied in size and shape. some with multiple limbs, others with strange skin colors. At the front stood a tall blue being with 4 arms. "Welcome to Central Station," the being said in perfect English. "I am Vex, aide to Senior Council Member Traz. You will follow me." Park noticed immediately that it was not a request, but an order. He exchanged glances with Ju. The plan was to appear cooperative while gathering information. "We are honored to be here," Ju said with a small bow. "We look forward to learning about the Galactic Council." They followed Vex through wide corridors filled with aliens of different species. Some looked at the humans with curiosity, others with what seemed like pity. The council chamber was enormous, with a ceiling that reached up at least 50 meters. In the center, a raised platform held 7 beings seated in curved chairs. The walls displayed moving images of stars and planets. Species designation, human. Planet designation, Earth. "Step forward for assessment," announced a loud voice. Ju and Park approached the platform with their team following behind. The central figure, clearly Traz, looked down at them with 4 large eyes. "We have studied your planet," Traz said. "Your civilization is young, barely space-capable, and still divided by primitive conflicts. Yet you have potential for service to the Council." Park kept his face neutral, though inside he felt anger rising. Service to the Council. Not partnership or alliance, but service. "We are grateful for your interest in Earth," Ju replied carefully. "We have many questions about integration." Traz made a gesture that might have been amusement. "All species have questions. You will be assigned Category 3 status. This permits limited space travel, regulated technology development, and contribution of resources to Council projects. In return, you receive protection and guidance." "What exactly are these contributions?" asked Park. "Your planet is rich in rare minerals and biological diversity. These will be harvested at rates determined by the Council. Your people will also provide labor for various Council endeavors." Ju stepped forward. "We recognize your Council's extensive history and power," she said diplomatically. "But Earth maintains its independence while open to mutual cooperation." The chamber went silent. Traz's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Perhaps you misunderstand," he said finally. "Integration is not optional. It is the natural order of the galaxy. All species serve a purpose within the Council hierarchy." Park stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Perhaps you misunderstand us. Humans don't respond well to threats." The Council chamber erupted in murmurs. The other Council members leaned toward each other, speaking in quick, sharp sounds. Traz raised his 4 arms for silence. "No species has ever challenged integration terms," he said, his voice colder now. "Your reaction suggests primitive thinking. This is why guidance is necessary. We would like time to consider the terms and discuss them with our government," Ju said, following the plan. "By time. Learn more." Traz seemed to relax slightly. "You will be given time to reconsider your position. Primitive species often require adjustment periods. You have 10 Earth days to accept your designation." As the humans returned to their ship, escorted by Vex and several large guards, Ju whispered to Park, "They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they?" Park shook his head. "None whatsoever." Back on their ship, the Earth team gathered in the secure meeting room. The walls were specially designed to block any surveillance. "They expect complete submission," Park said, his face grim. "Category 3 status would make Earth little more than a mining colony." Ju nodded, reviewing the data they had collected. "But we've learned something valuable. Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as they want us to believe." "Explain," Park requested. Ju brought up a display showing energy readings. "Their ships and station use a form of gravity manipulation we've theorized but never built. However, their weapon systems are only about 30 years ahead of our current technology, not centuries as they implied." "Can we catch up in time?" asked Technician Kang. "With what we've learned today?" "Yes." Ju's eyes showed excitement despite the danger of their situation. "Their shields have a fluctuation pattern we can exploit. Their communication systems have vulnerabilities. Park looked thoughtful. They've grown overconfident. They've never been challenged, so they've stopped innovating. Exactly, said Ju. And there's something else. She showed another display. I detected communication signals from some of the other species. Not all of them are happy with their place in the council. Potential allies, Park wondered. Possibly. But first we need to report back to Earth. Director Kim needs to know what we're facing. As the diplomat pulled away from the council station, Traz watched from his private chamber. They will accept integration, he told Vex confidently. They have no choice. And if they don't? Vex asked quietly. Then they will learn why no species has ever successfully resisted the council. Traz replied. Prepare a monitoring team. I want to know everything happening in the Earth system. Little did he know that the humans were already preparing their response. A response that would shake the foundations of the Galactic Council forever. Council surveillance ships watched from a distance as activity around Earth increased. Humans were building rapidly. Orbital platforms rose in strategic positions. Defense arrays appeared at key points near the moon. Most alarming was the growing fleet of ships that seemed to emerge from Earth shipyards daily. In the Council Monitoring Center, an analyst reported to Senior Council member Traz. The humans are mobilizing at an unexpected rate. They have repurposed civilian stations for military use. Traz studied the images with growing concern. What about the technologies they are using? Some are familiar, but others, the analyst hesitated. Others we do not recognize. They appear to be experimenting with new weapon designs and shield configurations. Traz drummed his 4 fingers on the console. The humans were supposed to be discussing acceptance of their Category 3 status. Instead, they were preparing for resistance. It was unprecedented and troubling. Send a message to Enforcer Kral. His presence will be required. Back on Earth, the United Earth Defense Council gathered in their underground headquarters beneath the Pacific Ocean. The location had been chosen for its natural protection from both space observation and potential attack. Professor Lee, Earth's leading expert on alien civilizations, presented her findings to the assembled leaders. Her normally calm voice carried excitement as she pointed to the data streams on the large display. The records provided by the Council during our delegation's visit contained far more information than they realized, she explained. They believed they were showing us their greatness, but instead gave us insight into their weaknesses. Explain, commanded Director Kim. The Council has ruled for 50,000 years, Lee continued. In that time, they have faced no serious challenges. Their power comes from perceived inevitability, not actual military superiority. Commander Han nodded thoughtfully. Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. Exactly. Lee changed the display to show technical diagrams. Chief Engineer Ju's team has already adapted several of their technologies to our systems. Our new shields can withstand their standard weapons. Our sensors can now detect their cloaked vessels. What about our offensive capabilities? Asked Admiral Choi. We are making progress, answered Han. The new weapon systems installed on our fleet have never been seen by the Council. They will not expect them. Director Kim looked at each person in the room. We have 8 days left before we must give our answer to the Council. Are we ready? Not completely, Han admitted, but we are stronger than they believe. More importantly, we are not what they expect. They have conquered 42 species, reminded General Park, his face serious. All of them now serve the Council. Because none of them fought back effectively, Lee pointed out. Those species were isolated, divided, or technically inferior. Humanity is united now, and we are quick learners. A message alert sounded, and Lieutenant Yoon's voice came through the speaker. Director, we have detected a Council ship entering our system, larger than the previous diplomatic vessel. They're early, Kim said, her eyes narrowing. They were supposed to wait for our answer. They must have observed our preparations, Han suggested. This is likely a show of force, or a warning, added Lee. Kim stood. Admiral Choi, prepare the defense fleet, but keep them in holding positions. Commander Han, you will join me to meet this new delegation. Let's hear what they have to say. The Council ship was 3 times the size of the previous diplomatic vessel. It took position in Earth orbit, its weapon systems clearly visible. The message it transmitted was brief and direct, an invitation for Earth's leaders to board for discussions. It's a trap, Han said immediately. They want to intimidate us up close, or worse, capture our leadership. Kim agreed. We will meet them on neutral ground. The International Space Station has been reinforced and is ready for such meetings. The Council representative who arrived at the space station was not Traz or his aide Vex. This being was larger, with dark red skin and what appeared to be armored plates covering parts of its body. 6 guards accompanied him, each carrying visible weapons. I am Enforcer Krall of the Galactic Council, the being announced as Kim and Han entered the meeting room. I have been sent to resolve the situation with Earth. We still have time to provide our answer, Kim replied calmly. The Council granted us 10 days. Only 8 have passed. Krall made a dismissive gesture. Your activities have been monitored. Construction of military assets is not permitted for pre-integration species. Admiral Choi, who had insisted on joining the meeting, smiled politely. We weren't aware we needed permission to defend our own planet. The Council determines what is permitted throughout controlled space, Krall stated. Earth has been designated for integration. Your only choice is to accept the terms or face consequences. What consequences exactly? Han asked, his voice steady. Krall turned all 4 of his eyes toward the commander. The Council has integrated 42 species into the Galactic Order. Some required persuasion. Earth would not be the first to learn that resistance is futile and costly. Are you threatening us? Kim asked directly. I am informing you of reality, Krall replied. The Council has existed for 50,000 years. Your civilization has barely achieved space travel. The outcome is inevitable. Han noticed something in Krall's tone. Behind the threats was a hint of concern. The Council was not used to species that prepared to fight back. We understand the Council's position, Kim said diplomatically. We request the remaining 2 days to complete our discussions. This is your final warning, Krall stated. Cease military expansion immediately or face correction measures. After the Council delegation departed, Kim, Han, and Choi returned to Earth headquarters. They're worried, Han observed. They expected us to be intimidated by their ship and their enforcer. Instead, they saw our preparations. What are correction measures? Asked Choi. Professor Lee, who had been analyzing the meeting recording, answered. Based on historical records in their database, it typically means a limited military strike to destroy key infrastructure, enough to cause fear but not enough to damage potential resources. Then they don't intend to destroy Earth, Kim noted. They want it intact for exploitation. That gives us an advantage, Han said. They will hold back, we will not. Kim turned to the command console and pressed a button. Activate the Sunflower Protocol. All defense platforms to combat readiness. All ships to battle stations. They will detect this activity, Lee warned. Good, replied Kim. Let them see. It's time to show them what humanity does when cornered. As alerts sounded throughout Earth's defense network, ships moved into position. Hidden weapon platforms powered up. The planet that the Council thought would easily join their controlled space was preparing to show the galaxy something it had never seen before. A species that refused to be controlled. In his ship, Enforcer Krall watched the sudden surge of activity with disbelief. They are preparing for conflict, he told Traz via secure channel, despite our warning. Impossible, Traz replied, though his voice held uncertainty. No species has ever. This species is different, Krall interrupted. I recommend immediate action. Proceed with correction protocols, Traz ordered after a pause. Show them the cost of defiance. Neither of them realized that this decision would change the galaxy forever. The Council integration fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 20 vessels in a perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. It was a modest force by Council standards, enough to demonstrate superiority without full military commitment. Such displays had always been sufficient to bring reluctant species into compliance. Enforcer Kral stood on the command deck of the lead ship, watching the tactical display. His orders were clear: disable Earth's new defense systems, destroy a few key military installations, and force the humans to accept their place in the galactic order. Scans of the Earth system complete, reported his sensor officer, detecting multiple defense platforms and significantly more vessels than expected. Kral leaned forward, his 4 eyes blinking in surprise. The display showed hundreds of Earth ships arranged in a complex defensive pattern. Some were small and fast, others larger with obvious weapon systems. They formed layers of defense extending from Earth orbit out toward the approaching Council fleet. This is unusual, Kral admitted. Previous intelligence suggested their fleet capacity was much smaller. They must have accelerated production, the tactical officer suggested, or they had hidden resources. Kral considered the situation. The human response was stronger than anticipated, but still no match for Council technology. Their ships were smaller, their weapons presumably less advanced. The outcome remained certain. Proceed as planned, he ordered. They need to understand. Resistance is futile. On the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Defiance, Captain Moon watched the approaching Council ships. As commander of the frontline response squadron, she would make first contact with the alien fleet. Council vessels have entered the outer defense perimeter, she reported calmly to Admiral Choi via secure channel. Let them come a bit closer, ordered Choi from the command center beneath the Pacific. Let them see exactly what they're facing. Moon nodded to her communications officer. Keep channels open. Let's hear what they have to say. The Council commander's voice came through moments later. Attention Earth vessels. This is Enforcer Kral of the Galactic Council. Your construction of military assets without approval has triggered correction protocols. Stand down and prepare for boarding. This display is futile. Moon exchanged glances with her second-in-command, Jin. Both knew the practiced response. This is Earth Defense Fleet, Moon replied. You have entered sovereign Earth space uninvited. Reverse course immediately. There was a pause before Kral's voice returned. Your declaration of sovereignty is not recognized by the Council. Final warning. Power down your vessels or face immediate consequences. The Council ships continued forward, their energy weapons visibly charging. Back at Earth Command, Engineer Ju monitored the fleet's advanced systems. For weeks, her team had worked day and night to integrate their discoveries from Council technology with Earth's best innovations. They're not going to back down, she observed to Admiral Choi. Choi nodded grimly. Then neither will we. He opened the channel to all Earth forces. All vessels, this is Admiral Choi. Activate defensive systems. Follow engagement protocols. The first shots came from the Council ships, energy beams targeting the largest Earth vessels. What happened next shocked the Council forces to their core. Instead of the expected destruction, the Earth ship's shields flared bright, but held. The energy was absorbed, redirected, or in some cases reflected back toward the attackers. Impossible, whispered Kral as damage reports came in from 2 of his smaller vessels. How did they adapt our shield technology so quickly? The Earth fleet's response was immediate and coordinated. Smaller, faster ships darted forward, releasing what appeared to be simple missiles. The Council point defense systems easily destroyed. Most of them, but those that got through attached to Council ship hulls rather than exploding. What are these devices? Demanded Kral as warnings flashed across his displays. Unknown technology, replied his science officer, voice rising in alarm. They're draining power from our shields and weapons. Earth's larger vessels moved forward, in a precise formation. Their weapons fired, not the crude explosives or simple energy beams the Council expected, but concentrated pulses that somehow bypassed the weakened Council shields. Return fire with all weapons, Kral ordered, his confidence fading as system after system reported failures. The battle spread across the solar system, Council ships that had expected an easy victory found themselves fighting for survival against smaller vessels that moved with unexpected coordination, employing technologies the Council tactical analysts couldn't comprehend. On the Defiance, Captain Moon directed her squadron with calm precision. Squadron 2, focus on their flagship's propulsion systems. Squadron 3, deploy the EMP devices when their shields drop below 20%. Captain, we're detecting energy buildups in their remaining ships, reported her sensor officer. They appear to be preparing for emergency faster-than-light jumps. Moon nodded. Let them go. Our goal was defense, not destruction. Within 20 minutes of the first shots, half the Council fleet was disabled, floating powerless in space. The remaining ships, including Krall's damaged flagship, engaged their faster-than-light drives and retreated, broadcasting urgent messages back to the Galactic core. In Earth's command center, cheers erupted as the tactical display showed the Council retreat. Admiral Choi raised his hand for silence. This was only the first wave, he reminded them. They will return with a larger force. But we've shown them we're not helpless, Engineer Ju pointed out, and we've captured several of their vessels intact for study. Director Kim entered the command center, her face showing both relief and determination. Well done, everyone. The Council believed their superiority was absolute. Today we've proven otherwise. What's our next step? Asked Commander Han. We continue building our defenses, Kim replied. And we reach out to other species. The Council's database mentioned several worlds that joined only under threat. They may be potential allies. Professor Lee stepped forward. I've been analyzing communication patterns between Council worlds. There's evidence of discontent, especially among more recently integrated species. Some may welcome an alternative to Council control. Kim nodded. Then we give them that alternative. Earth will not stand alone. On his retreating flagship, Enforcer, Krall prepared his report to the Council with dread. How could he explain that a pre-integration species had not only resisted correction, but had defeated half his fleet using technologies the Council barely understood? The humans have technologies we haven't seen before, his science officer stated. Their coordination and tactics were impressive. Krall stared at the data. The Council has ruled for 50,000 years. No species has ever successfully resisted, until now, the officer replied quietly. As the damaged Council ships limped back to their territory, news of the battle spread quickly through hidden communication channels. On dozens of worlds, species that had accepted integration out of fear watched with growing hope. Earth had done something thought impossible. It had replied to the Council's demands not with submission, but with defiance, and had survived to tell the tale. The galaxy was about to change forever. News spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. A small, previously unknown planet called Earth had defeated a Council correction fleet. The species that had accepted integration out of fear now looked toward Earth with hope. In the Great Council chamber, emergency sessions stretched for days. Senior Council member Traz faced the angry assembly. How could this happen? Demanded a representative from one of the oldest Council species. No integration has ever failed before. Traz struggled to maintain his composure. The humans employed technologies we have not encountered. Their defenses absorbed our energy weapons. Their attack systems bypassed our shields. Impossible, another Council member argued. No pre-integration species could develop such technologies so quickly. Yet they did, replied Traz. And there is worse news. We have detected unauthorized communications between Earth and several integrated worlds. A murmur of alarm spread through the chamber. The implications were clear and frightening. Earth was not simply defending itself. It was reaching out to others. We must respond with overwhelming force, suggested a military commander. Crush this rebellion before it spreads. But even as the Council debated, the situation was changing faster than they could control. On the planet Nevik, whose people had been integrated into the Council 300 years ago, crowds gathered in the central cities. They had seen the recordings of Earthships defeating the Council fleet. What had seemed impossible was now proven possible. For generations we have served the Council, proclaimed a Nevikian leader to the crowd. We mine our world to provide them resources while our own people lack basic needs. Earth has shown us there is another way. Similar scenes played out across a dozen worlds. Species that had lived under council rule now questioned that authority for the first time. On Earth, Director Kim addressed the United Earth Government Assembly. The Great Hall was filled with representatives from every nation, plus observers from the military and scientific communities. "We never sought to become a galactic power," Kim said, her voice calm but firm. "We simply refused to surrender our freedom. In doing so, we have changed the equation. The Council believed control was their right. We have proven otherwise." Commander Han, now serving as military liaison to the newly formed Alliance of Independent Systems, stood to speak. "In the 3 months since our defense against the Council fleet, 17 worlds have contacted us, some openly, others in secret. All seek the same thing: freedom from Council rule." "Is this not dangerous?" asked a representative from the African Union. "The Council has existed for 50,000 years. They control thousands of worlds. We are one planet." Professor Lee presented her analysis to the Assembly. "The Council's power was always more perception than reality," she explained, displaying data on the large screens. "Their technology has advanced only slowly over millennia. They grew complacent. Their control depends on the belief that resistance is impossible. And we have destroyed that belief," added Admiral Choi. "Exactly," Lee continued. "By defeating their fleet, we created a paradigm shift throughout the galaxy. The Council is facing something they have never encountered: widespread questioning of their authority." "What about their military capabilities?" another representative asked. "Surely they could still destroy us with a larger force." Engineer Ju stepped forward. She had been working with technologies recovered from the captured Council ships. "Their military is spread thin across the galaxy. They maintain control through fear, not through constant presence. More importantly, we now understand their technology better than they understand ours." "The Council faces a choice," Han explained. "They can commit massive resources to try to destroy Earth, or they can accept that the era of absolute control is ending." In orbit above Earth, the newly commissioned diplomatic vessel Handshake prepared for its maiden voyage. Its mission? To formalize alliances with other independent worlds. Captain Yoon looked out at the stars from the bridge. Her crew was preparing for their first jump to faster-than-light speed, using technology adapted from the captured Council ships. "They thought they were bringing us into their controlled universe," she remarked to her first officer. "Instead, we showed them what freedom looks like." "Do you think there will be war?" her officer asked. Yoon considered the question. "I think there already is a war, but not the kind fought with ships and weapons. It's a war of ideas, control versus freedom, and ideas can spread faster than any fleet can travel." On the Council homeworld, the emergency sessions had turned to chaos. Reports arrived hourly of more worlds declaring independence or demanding new terms of association. Half their subject worlds were now in open rebellion, citing the Earth model as their inspiration. "We must negotiate with these rebels," suggested one of the younger Council members. "Negotiate?" Traz was horrified by the idea. "The Council does not negotiate with its subjects." "Perhaps that is the problem," the younger member replied. "For 50,000 years we have ruled through control. We never considered that cooperation might be more effective than domination." Traz looked out at the Assembly, seeing the division and uncertainty on faces that had always shown only confidence. "We believed we controlled everything," he admitted finally. "We never considered that. Control itself was an illusion." Back on Earth, Engineer Ju now headed the technology exchange program with allied worlds. Scientists from different species worked together, sharing knowledge that the Council had restricted for millennia. "Every species has unique perspectives," Ju explained to a group of visiting alien scientists. "Together, we are advancing faster than any of us could alone." "The Council told us humans were primitive," said a scientist from Nevik. "But you defeated their fleet and started a revolution without firing a shot at any world." "We just showed that freedom was possible," Ju replied with a smile. Each world must find its own path. Director Kim stood with Admiral Choi at the observation deck of Earth Space Station Alpha, watching ships from 5 different worlds dock for the first official meeting of the Alliance of Independent Systems. "Did you ever imagine this when we received that first council message?" Choi asked. Kim shook her head. "Never. We were just trying to protect Earth. But freedom, it seems, is contagious. And much less controlled," added Choi. As representatives from the Allied worlds gathered to sign the first interspecies treaty based on mutual respect rather than domination, the galaxy watched. The council that had ruled for 50,000 years faced a new reality they had never prepared for. Earth had done more than reply to the Galactic Council. It had changed the course of galactic history, not through conquest, but by simply refusing to kneel. The universe had become a much more interesting place, and much less controlled.